This is where we are. We're 0-1.
Yeah.
0-1.
Like, oh,
everyone needs to relax. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something. In 2018,
preach
you spoke about Deshaun Watson. The Houston Texans went 0-4. Went 0-4. 0 wins and 4. They was probably getting dog cussed. They was probably getting slapped in the face. When they probably go out to eat the Applebee's and they say, "No, y'all can't come in here." 0-4. That's a bad start, right? We've experienced something like that. They ended up making the playoffs.
Yep.
Okay.
Did they lose by 37 in any of those 4?
No, but they've had some struggle-like games, you know. And when we'll get to the nitty-gritty as far as what we saw on Sunday. But I will say this. The NFL is a different league, and it's a special league for this very reason. All it takes is one game. And
I do agree with that.
And I will say this, as a whole, this is the first time that a lot of these guys have played together for the very first time. I mean, talk about the secondary alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
The
Those
secondary
guys came off a waiver wire.
Right. So, I mean, it takes time to understand how people speak, how people move, how people thrive. That just doesn't happen overnight. And the way these preseason games are going for a lot of these teams, not just us, they hold their starters out throughout the preseason. So they're not getting the meaningful reps that's needed to come together and gel, right? Yeah. And then you just talk about, you know, just in the nature of what our training camp schedule was like. This is the first time that they've had training camp in Charlotte. That's completely different for the guys that have been on this roster for the last 3 years, where you've been going to Wofford, being in the dorm, being able to build that chemistry in a different light, in a different way. Because, I mean, I remember from my training camp days, training camp was special for the very reason of, hey, let's play horse in the locker room until 10 p.m. or 10:30 at night, right after meetings. Let's just get a couple games in right quick. And you have at least like 15 guys in the locker room just goofing off before they go to bed, right? So stuff like that, the team bonding, the chemistry, all that stuff matters, and it does support a winning recipe. Right now, they're still having to find the recipe. I'm not sitting here, everyone with their pitch and forks and fire flames and all that stuff. Look, we have to be more mature. We have to have a little bit more like common sense. And I know common sense isn't common, but for us to really expect like them to go out there and just have everything dialed in on game one, like as a fan, I'll say this, the fans deserve wins. Point blank. Okay. You're spending your money, you're spending your time, you're watching podcasts throughout the off season, you're watching ESPN, and you're getting your hopes up and all that. You deserve wins. But the reality is that it takes time. It has to come together the right way. And I'm still hopeful. I would have loved to see a different product on Sunday. Would have loved to see, some fight on defense. I mean, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of guys out there fighting. I mean, I look at Shaq Thompson. I look at A'Shawn Robinson. These guys are fighting, but it has to come together as a team. And so there's some bright spots. There's a lot of, gloomy spots. And those guys in that locker room, they have to go to the lab. They have to fix it.
I love everything you just said. Unfortunately, that's probably going to be the most positivity that's going to be in this episode.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why we mad, son.
I am hot. This is 6 years of this. 6 years. I understand the whole thing about we might not get a win right out the gate and stuff.
But hold on. Before you say this, when we decided to get a new head coach, what did we say? in the offseason.
We
told you that when we get a new head coach, that's an automatic reset.
But not like automatic. Not like this.
It's an automatic.
Nothing.
I agree
right.
with you, brother.
Nothing looked right. And I'm sitting there, I'm questioning it because I'm like, is this why Bryce didn't play in the preseason? Like, is this why? Like, because they knew, like, deep down that he's not like quite there yet, and they just didn't want to show anything. Like, those are the thoughts that are creeping in my mind. I'm not saying that's what's going on.
That's called Satan getting in your brain.
We're battered fans right now. Like, we are willing to accept any excuse to try to understand what just happened on Sunday. Because look, the first pass the man throws is the interception. He's overthrowing everything all of a sudden, and it was crazy because he had a clean pocket. He pretty much had a clean pocket most of the day. He seemed a little rattled. He seemed kind of rushing stuff. And when he would be on the move, that's when he was overthrown. The one that I guess he was trying to throw to Thielen was a good 5-6 yards, like down the way. Like, it looked like he was throwing to the safety instead of to Thielen or to a spot. That's what it really looked like. Look, he was throwing to a spot. And then the other one, the first one, he just missed. And I'm just sitting there like, how long? And I wasn't going to go on Bryce Young today. Actually, that's not even my time why I'm mad, but I do have to bring it up. What's the leash on how long do you give the number 1 overall pick before you start questioning should he have been the number 1 overall pick? Because with Cam Newton, we kind of knew immediately that, okay, this dude's a unicorn. He was supposed to be the number 1 pick. Like, we didn't have to, we lost, but we knew, like, we saw it. What's the game
Arizona
that we saw with Bryce Young?
I was like, good Lord.
He's started 18 starts now, 18, I guess it's be, or 17, something like that. Has there been a game during the Bryce Young era where he played so well, you were like, that's why we drafted him? Green Bay. That's the one everyone keeps coming back to. It's 23 for 300 yards. We lost the game, but that's the one game he kind of played well, and that was late in the year. So, and then what happened after that? We went scoreless in the next game, and we haven't scored, like, a touchdown in 9
Schuyler, Schuyler, it's time.
I've been sitting there waiting for today.
Schuyler, unleash havoc. Whatever you have to say, I feel like it's going to be good for this discussion right now.
You teed me up perfectly for this, Des. So
let's go.
This is I tell you why I'm mad. I just think that there are so many people, whether it's Panthers fans, writers, analysts outside of Charlotte, that they just jump at the very first chance they get to drag Bryce Young or to drag the Panthers organization, because that's just been the narrative over the last 5 or 6 years. And when you have somebody like David Tepper, love him, hate him, somewhere in between, he is a talking point for this organization. So anytime that the Panthers look miserable, that's a chance for everybody to pile on top, because they get to point and laugh at Tepper's team and all this other stuff. Folks, those that are calling for Bryce Young to be benched, or the Panthers are already on the clock for next year.
Yeah.
Chill the hell out.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Game. Here's my point. I understand it didn't happen, but if Bryce had thrown for 350 and 4 touchdowns on Sunday, everyone would be anointing him as the face of this franchise. He's the clear guy. But I would still come back here on this show on this Tuesday morning and say, guys, it's one game. Don't get overexcited. It's one game. This is a long season. So I think there's way too many people overreacting to this. And there's a lot that goes into what went wrong on Sunday. It was not just on Bryce, and Stu can get into that here in a second. But I think people need to calm down about this whole Bryce Young thing. I'm not saying he's going to end up panning out or he's going to end up being the answer. But one game into this freaking season, I get it was horrible.
I'm not using just Sunday, though. That's the thing. I'm using all of last year, too.
You can't use last year.
I know. We started giving him Morgan and all that stuff.
Listen,
that was because we thought he was going to actually be coached up and actually look different. He looked worse. How do you
Desmond, what's your middle name?
But this is one game under this new staff.
Jerome.
He had 0 reps in the preseason, essentially outside of one series. What he went through last year is so chaotic compared to what everybody else has come into. He has to regain that confidence. He may say he's confident in the press conference, or he may look confident.
He ain't in the pocket. No.
He has to gain that confidence on game day. We have not seen that yet. And here's a bold take right here. I don't know how you guys are going to react to this. I really think the Panthers fumbled how they handled his situation last year, because I don't know that he should have started week 1. But here's the really the bold take. If I was Dave Canales, I would have come into this situation and said, you know what? We're going to wipe our hands clean. We're going to start this slate completely blank. Andy Dalton, you're starting the first 3 games.
Yep. I would. Yep.
And
because we're really going to make that a mulligan last year. It didn't exist. You're a rookie this year. Like, you should sit
this is a rookie year. You're going to learn this system, and we're going to wait until we feel 1,000% sure that you're confident going into the game, that we're going to put you in a situation. We're going to give our offensive line time to gel, time to figure each other out, time for the receivers to kind of emerge as who's going to be the guy. Find time for the running backs. Give Andy Dalton this team for 3 weeks. You put Bryce Young in there week 1 and it goes as bad as it did Sunday. It's hard to say, hey, kid, go take a seat. We'll bring you back maybe, week 8 or week 9.
Yeah,
that's a lot easier
I'm
to do.
Against all that. I'm against all that. He's number 1 pick for a reason.
Okay.
He's number 1 pick for a reason, and he had last year. And this is a brand new. It's a reset, but it's a reset for him as a year 2 starter.
But are you worried? Are you worried about ruining him out of the game?
I think he's already halfway broken already.
I'm not worried about ruining him, man. Listen, this guy's won his entire life, and now he's experiencing losing. Every quarterback has gone through this. This just looks a lot worse than a lot of other quarterbacks, right?
But what looks really bad when you
Cam Newton. No, listen, Cam.
I'm gonna tell you why we mad. I'm gonna tell you why we mad.
Why my man smiling, Stu? Why is smiling?
That's his personality. Everybody leave him alone. That's the reason why. Whatever it is that keeps him at inner peace, with all the noise that he's experiencing, all this noise, all this chatter, all the people coming for his head, whatever he has to do to keep his inner peace, do it.